Hello, friends, family, colleagues, and viewers. I am so happy to be here another Sunday, as always, with the International Institute of Family Development. We start off everything by giving thanks and praise to that which has created and sustained us, to our Creator, and also for our ancestors for allowing us to be here because we are their wildest dreams. Thank you for tuning in to this Sunday's conversation. This conversation is especially important. We're talking about the real estate industry, the real estate market, building legacy wealth, and creating the Africa that we deserve. I give a shout out to all single mothers who are thinking about this opportunity. Shout out to everyone who is living within urban environments, urban America, Boston, Chicago, Baltimore, Philly, Texas. Tune in, share this with your friends and families when you're thinking about how to get into this opportunity of real estate and how do you build something that's going to last for generations to come. The Africa We Deserve videocast is the bold networking opportunity, business networking opportunity for Black folks globally to inspire each other, to invest in each other, and to get involved in each other's lives so that we can build the Africa we deserve. After all, we know for a fact that diaspora unity is the blueprint for economic liberation. So on today's show, we have Mobu Enterprises who will be joining us to talk about the real estate investment opportunities, the social development work that they are doing in order to build up a Black wealth, Black legacy in the real estate market. So we have with us Jessica Lewis, who is joining us today from Georgia.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Hey, sister, how are you?
I am fantastic. How about yourself?
I am good and so grateful that you decided to join us today. This is just remarkable. I've been waiting for this conversation for some time now.
Thank you. I'm glad to be had, and thank you for inviting me.
So tell us about your company, who you are, and what you do.
Absolutely. Well, I'm Jessica Lewis. I'm co-owner of Mobu Enterprises. We build residential and commercial structures out of shipping containers. So think of it as Legos that you used to play with as a child. You stack them, you put them side by side, and you make all these fantastic things with them. That's pretty much what we do with shipping containers.
That is fabulous. That's great stuff. And so, as we think about this world of shipping containers and housing, we have a couple of questions that we're going to go in there with. We want to hear all the juicy information. But before we get there, you have to tell us, my sister, Africa is and her people are.
Africa is amazing. And the people who are of African descent are even more amazing. There is nothing that that continent cannot offer ourselves, our individuals, our groups, our everything. It's just a magnificent place to be. And I encourage everyone to get there as soon as possible so they can experience the same thing I did.
Absolutely. And so, and you have Ghana as your place, as your country.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Shout out to Ghana. Shout out.
Shout out to Ghana. Shout out to Prom Prom. That's where we have our land. And I'm a registered business over there now. We're called Mobu Megaman Enterprises. So we had to come up with a little variation of our name there, but we are a registered business in Ghana now. Thanks
Wow.
to our partner and operations manager, Nelson Tete.
Awesome. Excellent. This is like so wonderful. So you're doing shipping containers, putting together, creating affordable housing opportunities. What's the opportunity for Black folks, in this affordable housing real estate industry in order to build wealth and in order to create jobs for each other?
Well, the opportunities are endless. So I would start with the jobs. So I'm a green construction firm. So what that means is we're very cognizant of what we do with our processes and how it impacts the end user. So whether it's the tenant or the land owner or landlord, and I'm also cognizant of how it impacts the earth. So when we're talking about green construction, that's one of the first things that we can have accessibility to. So we're used to traditional construction, using a bunch of wood, wasting a bunch of wood, and everything in between that goes with the traditional construction process. With green, we lower our impact, and we're also reusing a lot of what we're actually using within our construction practices. So I would say that's the first thing. Now, when it comes to education and job opportunities, there's a huge opportunity for African Americans, African diaspora, Africa, in that respect as well, because it's not very many of us in this space. And so what we did, we started a green construction apprenticeship program where we can have that program here, have that program in Africa, where we're teaching people how to use the container, green construction, green material, and green practices, so that we are now expanding the opportunity, not just to a specific group of people or not just to USA, but we're bridging that gap between our two continents. And last but not least, those who want to get into the industry when it comes to using containers, it's just a matter of you having land. I tell people you can have a half an acre and be able to do a whole lot with shipping containers because they just don't take up that much space. And what's even better about it too is that it takes less time to do a build out than it would with traditional construction. So typically, I'm gonna give an example of like maybe a 1,200 square foot home. That could take up to 6-9 months. With a shipping container, is less than 90 days, sometimes less than 60 days. And so what I try to educate as a part of my process to my customers, to my vendors, to my GCs, is that this is an opportunity that will be the wave of the future. And so if we don't get on it now, we'll never get that opportunity. And it's best that we do it as a group, as a united front, because the more of us together, we can pull our money together to acquire land, pull our money together to do our real estate development projects. But more importantly, we're able to share more knowledge because it's more of us doing it together. It's really hard when you, one, have never been in the industry, and then all of a sudden you wake up, you see an HGTV show, and you're like, "Ooh, I want to do containers." You know, it's a huge learning curve. But more importantly, when you're connected to the right people, it will help you navigate that process a little bit better. My company is just one. I actually created a green construction conglomerate of architects, environmental specialists, and other people that are in that space, building inspectors, appraisers, that we have all these people that's in one group so that we can help, as a united front, be able to help people transition into this world, green construction and using containers.
Green construction and Black economics. That's what I hear is happening.
All in one.
All in one. So as we think about, the opportunities, we constantly see, others taking advantage of opportunities in the sustainable development green space.
Yeah.
And here this is the company, Mobu Enterprises. This is the company that if you're looking for an opportunity to build your home in short term, in an affordable way, and provide job opportunities for those in the continent, but also figuring out our opportunities here in the United States, this is the company to go with. What are you doing here in the United States right now to really move forward your platform?
A number of different things. We're actually about to start a green podcast.
Nice.
So that we can have all these experts come together and teach what you just asked about. How can you get into the green space? How do you get into the container space? And that's all we specialize in. We only do containers. So our expertise and our viewpoint is from that perspective and not a broad perspective of construction in general.
Yeah.
Secondly, we just were able to launch our apprenticeship program. We're actually a registered Department of Labor program, which means that our program is recognized by the federal government. We have our relationships with our local technical schools, whether it's high school or at the collegiate level or junior college level. And we also have relationships that will allow for us to have target populations. So our passion projects are for ex-offenders and veterans. And so we have our relationships with all our ex-offender and veteran organizations down here in Middle Georgia, and we're expanding to Atlanta now. And our goal is to not only hire them, but at some point in time, as they're helping us build out, they'll be able to purchase our homes because our wage is higher than the minimum wage. It's higher than the average wage is down here, because we know too that a part of being able to live is your own personal self-confidence and sustainability. And a lot of times when you're not making enough money,
Right.
how can you feel good about yourself? And so people tell me I'm crazy, but our apprenticeship program starts at $15 an hour. It's a 2-year program, and upon graduation, they'll be making about $45 an hour, and they'll be getting their own LLC, and they'll be subcontractors for us. They will not be working for us any longer. So we want to bridge that gap also to remove people with the mindset that you have to have a job. We want to push them towards entrepreneurships. And so within our program, I created a curriculum for it, which teaches people how to get their businesses up and running, how to create their partnerships, network, create their, whatever is needed for their business is built into our construction apprenticeship program.
Absolutely. This is total economic liberation that we're talking about here. And for our viewers who are in the continent of Africa, I need you to hear this.
Yes.
This conversation that we're having in America, the streets are not lined with gold. We cannot go to our backyards and just pick some money that is happening. There is an economic crisis amongst Black people or people of African descent, wherever we are. But let's focus here on the United States, in Baltimore, Chicago, Boston, Texas, California. There is this thing that's happening amongst that. We're behind. When we look at all the data, when we look at the wealth generation possibilities of Black people, we will have zero wealth in about 50 years. Mm-hmm. Women earn less than men, on average, and then Black people as a whole earn less than their non-Black, counterparts on average. And so when we're talking about freedom, it is through this economic lens that we're looking to maintain ourselves without aid in neighborhoods that we traditionally have lived in, that we have homes in, that we don't need to sell to somebody else in order to make a penny. So these are the opportunities that is so important for economic unity, not only here in the United States, but to understand that abroad. I want to really kind of delve into around this generational wealth opportunity. Grandma, grandpa, have worked really hard, but somehow along the way, the housing market seems to have created all sorts of ups and downs and bubbles. And then we have people who are coming in for urban renewal or redevelopment, whatever the tool, the catchword is that we're going to use. And people sell their homes at undervalue. Where does Mobu Enterprises come in with that?
A number of, I would say 2 main ways. So one main way is through, if it's land, for instance, the use of that land to create new opportunities for that land. So let's say you even have a 1/4 of an acre. I'm just going to go down to the bare minimum. So tiny homes in most areas of the world is 700 square feet or less. So that's the equivalent to almost 2.5 containers. So 2 40-foots in a 20-footer. So let's give that example. If you just made those 3 tiny homes, you now have 3 sources of income on a 1/4 acre lot.
Did you guys hear that? On a 1/4 acre of a lot. I mean,
that's how small space.
Yes.
You need. And let's say you had 6 20-footers. Now you have 6 sources of income off a 1/4 of an acre of a lot. And so just keep that in mind. If it's land, there's a lot that you can do with it. And so let's just say it's raw land, it's undeveloped. You can sell the dirt, you can sell the trees, and you can sell the air rights. So a lot of people, they're like, oh, I need to do a fix and flip. And I'll get into that in a minute. A lot of people say, I want to do a fix and flip. You could do a fix and flip, but with land, the same money that you probably would put into a house to rehabilitate it, you probably could have knocked it down and built it back up again. You could have built a container home from scratch. And now you can create a space where you have multiple sources of income from the same amount of money. So what I can say is with the container usage, your money is longer, if that makes sense, if I am describing it in the simplest way. You can do way more with your money with a container construction project than you would just doing a fix and flip. So let's say for grandma, grandpa, they still have the property is still erected. So think about it like this. You're spending whatever amount of money to get it fixed. I don't know what the number would be, but it's very few people who have kept their houses up. You can ride through any hood and see that. It takes a lot of money for upkeep. And so the question would be then, is it worth repairing it? You could be spending upward to $20,000 to $40,000 just on that particular structure just to get it back up to date. I personally don't believe in putting new wine in old skins, but to each his own. That's a market. That's what people do in real estate. Think of it in another way, that if you knock that building down and built it from the ground up using that same strategy, maybe multiple floors, side by side, whatever, using the containers, now you've gotten way more out of that same space than you would have trying to fix it up. Remember, if it's a single family, only one person is going in it. But that same money, you could have had a triplex or a duplex. And now you have multiple sources of income. How many sources of income we supposed to have? 10. So now you're going to have 3 coming in that same space, if that's a creative way to look at that type of project. So grandma and grandpa could be struggling. They may live in that house still. Here's another third scenario where if they have enough space in their backyard, they can add another tiny home there. And they can continue to live in their space and then have rental income, Airbnb, student housing, transitional housing. That second house, which we call as accessory dwelling unit, you can do all those things. And now grandma, you just help grandma and grandpa be able to afford their taxes again, where their home's not going to get foreclosed on or whatever. So it's just about, again, thinking creatively about the space that we have to utilize the container as a viable option to solve some financial hardships.
Absolutely. So I want all of our single moms, our single dads, or our families who are low income or just struggling every day to think about it, especially in the continent, especially in Africa. Every place you go, there's shipping containers every place you go. In thinking about creating homes out of cement, I understand, I value tradition, just as Jessica did. It's important. Yeah. But we also know that cement is expensive, that sometimes the cement comes in and is not cut properly. We have other things in it and it's not as sturdy as we might want it to be. And the homes don't last as long. Here is a viable, sustainable opportunity that you have in order to build something at half the cost, as modern as possible, and create yourself some generational wealth. We're going to hold this thought here. We're going to go to a commercial break. Before our viewing audience, we're going to tell everybody of your friends to tune in, share this link, and we'll be back in 1 minute. I thought we were going to commercial break, engineers. Oh, we're having technical difficulties. Isn't that lovely to know that we're having technical difficulties? So we won't be going to commercial. You are spared from having that commercial. So let's go into our other conversation that we're going to have. There's policy that, there's housing policy that is hugely important. What is, and have you started to navigate housing policy in the United States and influence that housing policy in Africa?
So for starters, everyone has some prejudices against a container. They don't like the way they look. Understandably so, right? They look like boxes. So I'll go into policy after I say this one point. Containers can look like whatever you want them to look like. Some of the challenges that a person feel they may have comes from coding. Because it's a container, they're always worried, oh, what if they, we build up to code. Container construction cannot significantly differ from the respect of how it's built in comparison to traditional construction. So a lot of people think like we're using a container and then we're using all these out of the ordinary things, so it won't be approved by code. We won't be able to get permits. That's not how that works.
Okay.
And so when you talk about policy influence, it is very important for people to be on anything that's related to green building policy, acceptance of tiny homes. We have different appendices that constantly have been changed to develop those type of relationships where code is allowed in certain areas and in some areas may not allow it. We also have to re-educate the public and our politicians and our people who are over those planning and zoning and coding departments. We have to educate them about the container. The container is permanently affixed to a permanent structure. So it is not a mobile home. And so people want to get away from the mobile homes because, of course, when natural disaster comes, one swoop of a heavy wind, the whole mobile home park is gone. But containers are windproof, waterproof, and fireproof. So that alone, if we're able to educate more policymakers by that fact, and let me say this, it's not all policymakers. Honestly, it's county by county, municipality by municipality, because HUD actually has an innovative housing solutions conference every year, and they're encouraging people to use containers and other types of construction practices because of the natural disasters that come through and wipe a whole city out. You see what's happening with our fires and our floods. And so more policyholders need to follow what HUD is doing, because HUD is actually encouraging the use of innovative technology with housing. We know housing crisis is the same everywhere. When I prepare my presentations to give to municipalities, I go by facts. I'm showing data. I'm not saying, hey, you should just use a container because they're everywhere. I'm very specific. I'm telling them, well, according to your city and your county, this is your poverty level. This is how much the people in your county are paying out of their salary towards housing. They can't afford to live there, but they're still living in your county. How are you going to do something about that?
Right.
And so our pitch is this container can help bring more housing options, accessibility as well as quality, because I don't hurt their feelings and say, not only do you not have good places for them to live, but your house is ragged.
It's low standard. It's low quality. Let's be honest with it.
Yeah.
And this is a Black company, and we know we're coming in to be twice as good because the majority of the people that we want to take care of look like us, come from the same background in us. So there's no reason for you as a company to give something, right? It's bad for your business, and it's bad for you as this person who is connected to your community, connected to wanting to grow and see Black people doing well.
Yes. And so we present the highest quality of a product that solves housing accessibility and the quality of housing. We have other products that will help with water quality. We also have other products that help with off-grid electricity. And so this will give communities and individuals more self-sufficiency. I feel as you're building better infrastructures with the housing and combined with the electricity and the water, it will allow for communities to start to be able to get back to how communities used to be. I was just talking to my mentee before the call. He was like, really, our water that clean? You can drink out the sink down here? Our city is the only city that supplies all the water to the entire central Georgia area. You can drink our sink water. Crazy, right?
That is crazy.
Can't do that in very many other cities, I'm sure, as you know.
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't even hard water and other stuff. You just wouldn't want to do that.
Yes. And so in general, when you look at other things related to the green space outside of the container, water and electricity runs into that. That to me, that's all in one. And so again, when we pitch to, you said the policymakers, commissioners, and mayors, that's what we focus on. Listen, we have a total package solution to all the challenges that you have. Create a better quality environment and community for your constituents via our product, our company, combined with these other machines and technology that allows for your city to now move forward. So that's a whole nother issue when they're not even forward thinking. So they'll never get over some of those problems that they have. So, we're trying to bring more awareness And so that's why we're doing the podcast. That's why we're here today. This is a great opportunity to be able to share with your audience so they can pass it on,
That's right.
to others. But it needs to have more awareness because we're not, people are allergic to their houses. They're allergic to the drywall, the carpet, the paint. The
The
list
mold.
goes on. Forget the mold. Before they even get to the mold, they can't even drink their own water. So
Mhm.
that makes the mold from the moisture, And so people are living, they're dying, and they're sick because of their houses. And this product, the container and the other materials that we use, is a great opportunity for people to finally live a better quality of life. I would want to go home more if I didn't have mold, right?
Yeah.
So I go home, I'm miserable, I'm sick, my kid's sick, we got allergies, we got eczema.
Asthma.
List is long,
Yeah.
okay? And so enough is enough.
Mhm.
This is why it's very important that we keep having these conversations. These are hard conversations because you're making your community leaders look bad. But we also are the same ones as voting these folks into office. And so we're not holding them accountable. Who will? And so the time is now. We are our own reparation. We need to start making moves as groups. We need to unite. We need to have our voice. We need to be unapologetically speaking about these things, and
Mhm.
we need to support each other. I think that's some of the greatest challenges that we have. That can happen here in the United States and in Africa. Nothing I'm saying is isolated to either location. The same things that happen over there is no different than here. When I visited, they don't have strong transportation infrastructures, definitely not the housing. It takes 3 years to build a house in Ghana because they're paying
And
by.
sometimes it can.
That's crazy to me. And
Sometimes it can, and sometimes folks, and I'll just speak to the countries that I'm familiar with. I've only traveled 9. Um, that you'll build one place, one side, and then the rest of the side is unfinished, and you'll live in that finished side until you can afford more uh, 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 material, until you figure out more income to come in. And so with these container homes, which I myself, as a single mom who is looking to move to the continent and live, this is a option for me to kind of think about, what does this look like in the for me short term, to have a place to live. And then if I want to build out, I can build that container home out. Or if I want to build something more traditional, using traditional methods of building in concrete, I can do that. But I am not underhoused. I'm not in a place where I'm piled up with folks, or I'm in a 2-bedroom with 3 kids, and trying to figure things out and can't have guests over. I have an opportunity to have something that is firm and strong, and I'm doing good socioeconomic development, because the people who will be working on building my home from Mobu Enterprises will be local people, and they will have a livable wage. Yeah.
and all of that is very important. We are social entrepreneurs. My partner name is Ibrahim Smith. He and I are very keen to what we do and how it impacts those around us. So when we do our projects, we hire locally. We don't bring people with us and they take them and hoard them and take them everywhere we go. You know how costly that would be? And so we're also taking away from the economic structure of that neighborhood if we're not hiring locally.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
so that's very important to us. And so that's also too why we've created relationships with general contractors nationwide and countrywide, and internationally is what I meant to
Yeah,
say. We even created some relationships in Africa as well. And so those things are really important, because not about having feet on the ground, but if you're not in tune with the communities that you're working in, you're a part of the problem. You have to understand what it is that you're doing in order for you to be able to impact. And so that's our approach. We make sure that we understand the community. That's why we look up the data. We read consolidated and comprehensive plans. We understand, we go to United Nations and stay abreast of whatever's happening and wherever we're trying to do business at, so that we're addressing a need and not just saying, oh, we need to make money. Money's going to come if you're solving a problem. And if you can really truly solve a problem, which is what we're working to eradicate the homelessness and housing accessibility and poor water here in the United States and in Africa. Like we literally that's our mission. That's our only mission is to make the world a better place through our products. And I'm happy to be able to be on this type of platform with you, knowing that you share that same vision. There's some people, they just don't get it and they'll never get it. But it's not going to stop people like you and I from educating them on it, encouraging it, and supporting it within our own efforts to make sure that it becomes a norm. It needs to become a norm and not an exception too. Like it shouldn't be so out of the ordinary when you say containers. Oh my God, containers. It shouldn't be like that. And so we're trying to change that.
So, we have the opportunity. You've laid it out pretty strong. What's the next right business move for the diaspora to get connected with Mobu Enterprises? The International Institute, my company, has a campaign goal of bringing 1 million jobs to Africa in partnership with the continental Africans, not outside and separate, but in partnership by 2030, 1 million jobs. Right now, short and quick, dirty, what is the opportunity that the diaspora have to get connected with you in order to make this dream a reality?
The one thing they have to do is go to our website and fill out a contact us form. Tell us that you exist. We don't know that you exist if you don't reach out to us and tell us. That's the only thing people need to do right now. Send us a message. Say, I heard your show today with Viola and I want to be involved. Tell me how to get started. And what I do, I actually answer our phone. I know that sounds crazy. My assistant, when he was with me, he was like, Miss Jessica, you ain't gonna never let me do no work. I'm like, no, let me talk to these people, because I also need to weed out people who aren't serious, and I also need to weed out people who heart is not in the same intent as us.
You can tell that quickly when you have a conversation. You've been
For
about
sure.
this for some time.
For sure, because people will waste your time, and it's not about time is money. I get that part, but we want people who are in the same force as us. I'm very big on energy, and if I don't like your energy, or if I from our first conversation I can't trust you, and I am that type of person, I give you trust first, and then you mess it up, and then it gets taken away. And so I can hear that God had blessed me with that, and I appreciate Him giving me that gift, because I know that discernment is strong, and when people playing games and their intent is incorrect, I'm going to know right away. So send us a message, let us know you exist, and we can set a call and have a conversation.
Perfect. We often see images on the television screen, on our computer phones, of Africa being a place of utter degradation, of utter poverty, children walking around bare feet and big bellies and flies circling around them. That's the image we're often left with. Tell our audience, what's right with Africa? What's right with African people?
The main thing that's right with Africa and African people is the love. We work from a center of wholeness of love. When I was there, I never saw people disrespect each other. Even when I could tell that they were having the hardest day possible, I saw nothing but love. Africa is love. Africa is opportunity. Africa is connectedness. If you have never been to Africa, the reason why you see so much negativity amongst Black people is that they haven't had that experience of that type of love. When I'm talking about agape love, unconditional, just truly you feel it in your gut, in your soul, when people are talking to you and interacting with you, I never felt that in America. I'm just being honest. When I went there and I stepped on that soil, and the way they treated me, like I'm the queen that I know I am.
Go ahead, man.
It now matched the energy. And since then, I've been on fire. And my goal is still to help and encourage people recognize, listen, you are a king. You are a queen. We are a royalty. That is what Africa is. And when we realize that as a people, the sky is not the limit. And I was putting my plug in for my company too, but the sky is not the limit when we realize how awesome we are, as a whole conglomerate of people. Just know that opportunity for love is there. The opportunity to build the continent back up, to help and share and unite as one is there. It's so, and it really starts with your company, Sister Green. Like, if people aren't recognizing that you're able to connect the two, effortlessly. I see how you move. You're so graceful, and I love it. But people need to recognize that your organization is here to remove those barriers that and also dispel myths that we see on TV. That's not all Africa is. This stuff, you go in one place is one way, another place is another way. How is that any different than America? You
It's
know,
true.
our continent is unique in its own way. We need to get there so we can experience, and then we get our own perspective. We're just going off of TV and we're uninformed. So get informed, get to Africa, get your opportunity, your love, unite as one,
Get
and
the
get
housing built by Mobu Enterprises.
Yes, come connect with us. Let's do some things together, guys. We are our own reparation. We are very capable of taking back what is ours, keeping it within our possession, allowing it to grow and nurture it, and put it in a place of security so that it's not taken again. We can do that easily. We just have to unite as one.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jessica, for coming in and sharing this time. When I think about what is right with Africa, I think about you. You are right with what is African and African people. You are representative of your ancestors, and you are doing everything that is right. So thank you, my sisters. Keep on pushing on. Let's keep connected. Let's keep doing this work. And everybody else, thank you for tuning in.
Thank
Mobu
you.
Enterprises was here representing strong for economic liberation, affordable housing, and real estate and building legacy wealth. Until next Sunday on the Africa We Deserve, we will keep building on.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Peace.